Imagine standing in the heart of nature, surrounded by a scent that envelops you. No, this isn't the kind of scent that comes from lighting a candle. It's a scent that surrounds you and your nature. You hear the rustle of leaves, the distant call of a bird, the soft gurgle of a hidden stream. Just then, something stirs within you. Something you can't quite explain, yet it fills you. It's not just awe, it's not just admiration, it's belonging. That is how I felt when I experienced my first safari. I was just 17. I had a little bit of excitement and my camera with me. I didn't realize I was also going to find the place I belonged. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor to stand before you today and share my journey. My journey that has brought me here, in a place where I can stand and inspire people and tell them about how the wilderness is home. Living in a city, it's a little difficult to understand that, but when you come to a forest, you understand how important the wildlife is for you. As a teenager, I spent my years working in various NGOs, and I was often the youngest in the team. However, when I worked with animals, I realized how much they struggled, even in cities. My unconventional quirks came with their challenges, but they also shaped my understanding of the struggles animals faced. More importantly, they fueled my determination to take action. Through this journey, I've realized that the bond between humans and nature is not just essential, it is the very being of our existence. Let me tell you about a story that changed my perspective forever. It was a warm summer evening. I was returning back after an afternoon safari. My guest and I had a conversation going on. Just then, we crossed a huge commotion of men wielding sticks. My immediate reaction was to ask the driver to stop the car. As I sprang out of it, what I saw next broke my heart. On the ground lay a lifeless common sand boa, a snake which is a non-venomous reptile, which wasn't going to cause any harm. But the villagers, they didn't know any better. That incident ignited something in me, and over the next few months, I spent my time educating these villagers, of teaching them the importance that snakes had on the ecosystem. But when I worked with them, I realized something. I realized that these people were the ones working on the field, and it was difficult for them to have the kind of admiration I had for snakes. Scary, right? It was very easy for me as a city dweller to judge their fear, but these were people who worked bare feet, exhausted, and vulnerable to the very wildlife that I admired. Once I heard their stories of loved ones lost to snake bites, my anger turned into understanding. I knew then that education wasn't just important, it was urgent. Today, after years of working with them, they no longer reach for their axe when they see a snake. Instead, they pick up their phones and they call me or my team members to rescue the reptile. Initially, there was resistance, and understandably so. Misunderstanding and fear often cause conflicts. But we have seen that through patience, storytelling, and education, there's a difference that can be made. Farmers who once viewed snakes as threats now see them as allies. One of the most rewarding aspects of my work has been engaging with rural communities that work around tiger reserves. Villages around tiger reserves are often the front lines of human-wildlife interaction, and their cooperation is crucial for conservation. I think of the tigers as the keepers of the woods, the protectors of their forests. However, rapid deforestation and habitat loss plays a crucial role in maintaining ecological imbalance. The presence of a tiger can deter poachers and illegal activities while also fostering conservation awareness among local authorities. India's wildlife reserves are home to far more than just tigers, leopards, or wild dogs. They have entire ecosystems of herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, reptiles, amphibians, and macro habitats. Protecting tiger landscapes safeguard water bodies, trees, and vulnerable species like deer and smaller mammals. Additionally, herbivores and plants have an important relationship. Herbivores rely on plants for food and shelter, while plants rely on herbivores for pollination. Beyond ecology, tiger reserves provide livelihood to local communities like tourism, creating jobs for guides, drivers, and rangers. Without these opportunities, the locals risk falling into poverty, highlighting the deep interdependence between wildlife and conservation in human beings. The bond between humans and wildlife is a delicate dance of reciprocity, and I've always been a strong advocate of coexistence in the life of India's tiger reserves. Let me tell you about a story of coexistence. One afternoon, the jungle seemed to slumber under the weight of the golden sun. My guest and I had had a conversation going on for the last 2 hours. Just then, a herd of cattle, about 100, trickled down the dirt road. Without much thought, we stopped our vehicle and we stood there. Just then, something shifted. 2 cows on the fringes of the track jerked away, their hooves dry against the earth. And then it came. A cry that sent a shiver down my spine. Vagala, Vagala, which means the tiger has come. The herder's word rang through the trees. The driver raced towards the herd, and within a few seconds, we had covered the 50-meter gap between us. The world seemed to have blurred in front of me. But as I locked eyes with her. There she was, barely 10 meters away, half concealed by grass. Her amber eyes were locked into mine. She was magnificent, sleek, powerful, her muscle coiled with an unfulfilled kill. For a second there, it felt like the world had frozen. Then, just as silently as she appeared, she returned. The herd, oblivious to the razor's edge it had just walked, continued its way, and life went on. Through my work, I guide safaris and wildlife education programs while aiming to foster people with knowledgeable encounters with nature, encounters that leave them awestruck and, importantly, conscious of the role tigers play in protecting our ecosystem. Our planet is facing unprecedented challenges: habitat loss, climate change, and species extinction. Yet, I remain hopeful. Hopeful because of the few individuals that choose to make a difference. Hopeful because of the communities that choose conservation. And hopeful because of the younger generations who are growing up with awareness instead of fear. When we conserve wildlife forests, we secure water, air, and climate stability. When we protect species, we uphold ecosystems that sustain lives. And when we respect nature, we ensure there's a future where humans can continue to live. So, the question is not whether we can make a difference, it's whether we choose to make a difference. Because the survival of this planet is not in the hands of a few conservationists, it's in the hands of all of us. Thank you.